Hello, and we're back to playing Planet Crafter and Muttering on at the universe. I have done some playing since the last recording to skip through some boring stuff no one would ever want to watch, like just stockpiling resources and so forth. Um, so, um, yeah, it also unlocked a few things like the bigger storage, gotten to the blue sky terraformation stage, and we're almost at clouds. So that's the game update. So put some windows in Shenanigan. However, the exciting news is that I actually have a topic to natter about while I'm talking today. Um, so while I was catching up on my YouTubers that I subscribe to, one of which is Oz Media, is a plush that he's put makeshift. There's three opossums in a trench coat. I thought, that seems oddly specific. I wonder what that is about. So I did some Google and came across this whole concept of ADHD. You should think about it as I am not a person, I am three raccoons stacked on top of each other in a trench coat pretending to be a person. And I thought, that's an interesting take. What is this about? So I started going down that rabbit hole. So, what is this concept? Um, so basically, the way it plays out, or the story is that um, you are three raccoons stacked on top of each other in a trench coat, pretending to be a human. You are not a person. You, you are exactly as the topic suggests. But each of the raccoons is a thing. So the bottom raccoon is the body raccoon, middle one is the heart raccoon, and the top one is the head raccoon. Have very specific functions, and you need them to be all happy and aligned to be able to successfully pretend to be a human. Um, so yeah, that's the basic premise of it, and I could be absolutely wrong on my take of it. I will definitely link to the Reddit thread, the Reddit post in r/ADHD women, for people to have a look at it themselves and tell me I am so very, very wrong. I am quite happy to be corrected. Um, but I found the whole concept to be quite interesting. Um, and it definitely resonated somewhat with me. So basically, you have the base of the little totem of raccoons is the buddy raccoon, and the buddy raccoon needs to be looked after in order to, be a functioning part of the triad that is making up this imaginary human in a trench coat. Um, and the body raccoon has very specific needs. It needs to be fed, otherwise it goes on, you know, hunger crusades of munchiness. It needs to be um, clean and cared for and watered so that it is not feeling itchy and twitchy and um, yeah, it is definitely a thing. I have a lot of tactile aversions. I really don't like linens that have. A lot of people think they're soft because they have like fluff. I find them to be itchy and uncomfortable. Wool. I know a lot of people have an aversion to wool. It can be quite itchy, but even soft blends for drive me nuts. Um, so if you don't like to be grimy and greasy, um, you know, all of the things that a body needs to be happy and comfortable and be able to function and not be distracted and twitchy and fidgety, which is definitely something that ADHD people are a lot. We're very fidgety and twitchy. Um, so yeah, that's the body raccoon. Then in the middle you have the heart raccoon, and that's the emotions. That's the soft, gentle, creative, whimsical. And then think I'm heading yes, detouring over into the heart. Um, I really only did the research on this today, so this is really just what I've learned today. So again, good need for investigation. Um, but yeah, it's the emotional part that holds the other two together. So we tend to overlook our emotional care more often than we do because we're distracted by our bodily needs or the chaos goblin running around disguised as a raccoon in our head. Um, Now I've got goblins disguised as raccoons, not just three raccoons. Here we go. Um, but yeah, we definitely need emotional stability to be able to do the things we do. Um, you know, the body raccoon, if it falls apart, like, we just don't look after our basic care. So it's one that's very prominent and we think about a lot. Head raccoon, obviously, is our thoughts. We think about it a lot. But the emotional side, and part of ADHD is emotional dysregulation. So tend to not notice that we haven't been taking care of our emotions particularly well. So we need to keep that balanced and aligned as well to be able to have our raccoons successfully um, masquerade as a person. And then you have the head raccoon. And the head raccoon is like a puppy. It's distractible, it wants to do a million things, and it wants it all done yesterday, but it doesn't really have any particular focus to do it. Um, I've totally forgotten what I'm trying to do in game at this point because I'm trying to remember everything I've learned. I really probably should have tackled a topic that I'm more comfortable and confident talking about. But I found this one particularly fascinating and I wanted to talk about it. So, yes. Um, the interesting thing with ADHD and the head raccoon is it needs boundaries, but it hates boundaries. So you have to trick it into accepting boundaries. And you do that with like a lot of like gamification of things so that it's more of a game and less boundary looking and little lists, and you need to break those lists into tiny little things because if it's too big we get overwhelmed by the bigness. um I I'm a UHD. um I sometimes get clobbered coming and going. I need it to be a list for a big accomplishment for the AU side of things, the autism side of things, like big chunks. Um, and the ADHD needs tiny little things, so I feel achievements all along the way before I give up, go away, and pack it in. Again, what was I about to do in the game? Did anybody remember? Idiot, 'cause this is what I dance craft station. Start making this. Um, so yes, the head raccoon tends to be easily distracted, very bad at making decisions, and needs a lot of wrangling. So because the head and the body are so easy to see the symptoms of needing the wrangling, the heart raccoon can get overlooked and lack alignment. And to be able to do things and function, as we said before, we need them all to be aligned and working together. So yeah, I found that the whole premise to be really interesting and quite probably quite a really good representation of you like it. So it's the whole point. Oh, damn. Um, the whole point is that we feel kind of out of control, um, and difficult to keep everything that we need aligned. Oh, do I have a um? What was Head Raccoon is not doing me good right now. Head Raccoon is doing me dirty. Um, yeah, so three raccoons stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. Um, other things, other points that I had, and I've totally lost track of all of them. I made a point. So, yeah, it part of it is explaining why it's so hard for us to do simple things sometimes. That lack of alignment, that lack of coordination between three raccoons and trying to herd them to a single thing and be on the same. Um, and part of it plays into things like, identity and self-perception. Um, and there's another part of the story which is like, treat the raccoon how how you would treat a raccoon. Um, ooh, um, so if oh, I do explicit. Continue on. Um, if you had a little raccoon friend, then and they were upset because they were hungry and thirsty, and you would look after it. Well, I hope you would look after it. No one listening in is so uncaring that they wouldn't. So, you know, if a raccoon is worthy of your care, then you are worthy of your care. So, you should look after your raccoons. Okay? Take care of all the needs so that you can be that functioning person, so that your raccoons are all aligned and function. Um, you know, um, I also like the selection of raccoons as the animal as well, because raccoons. I don't know if anyone out there is listening. Who knows? Um, but if you've ever watched videos of raccoons, they're like the animal kingdom's version of ADHD gone amok. They're creative, they're resourceful, they do the randomness stuff. They're adorably cute. They're so good. I do like me a trash panda. Um, so and they tend to if you've watched them try and puzzle through, you know, getting access to something they really they really are like outside the box thinkers as far as animals go. Um, you they're also quite particular. Like, you ever looked into raccoons? Like, there was a video that that's doing the rounds for a while there that I thought was so sad. But raccoons actually wash their food. Um, so this raccoon had gotten some cotton candy, fairy floss, whatever you call it, where you're from. Um, and was washing it in a puddle and it dissolved, and it just looked so sad. Um, and I feel like that's probably my raccoon most of the time. I found the solution. I have done the solution. Everything is a bigger mess. Why is it the bigger mess? I don't understand. I was going to eat the nummy, and now the nummy is gone. So, you know, it it's become like a story apparently that actually has resonated quite strongly with a lot of people who have like ADHD. It gives them a shared understanding of what it's like to live instead of, sometimes when we're explaining what it's like to live in our head, we it's very hard for other people to visualize because it tends to be a little bit shrug and go, oh yeah, everyone gets distracted sometimes. Uh, but it's not just distraction. Just need to focus harder. My brain literally let me. So maybe if people, including myself, just accept a little bit more that I'm not a person, I am doing strapped on top of each other, a trench coat, pretending to be a person. More sense to them? Maybe? Who knows? Um, you know, sometimes like explaining serious topics with something that's like an absurd visual story that sort of laugh over makes things that I easier to bond if it late. And speaking as someone who was diagnosed late, some of this stuff would have helped so much. The absurd idea of me being three raccoons in a trench coat pretending to be a human. It's I feel like it's something that younger me have been able to sort of understand and appreciate a bit better, and I would have been less hard on myself. So, you know, it, I mean, I can talk about this for ages. Like, just sometimes the world is hard to understand. Being able to be raccoons in a trench coat, pretending to be really a human, make it myself. For a Big Bang episode where sure I remembering I'm not just making this up in my head as I go along. That Sheldon was talking about how sometimes it tends to be an alien visiting well because it helps him not so much understand, but it helps him deal with it all. if that makes sense. Makes sense to me, so hopefully it makes sense to my one listener, which is Andrew. Hey, AJ. If anyone is actually, if anyone actually does listen to this episode and has ADHD, was not familiar with this concept before, but is like, hearing it for the first time, and then goes to my links and goes and reads the actual intelligent people documenting it in a way that actually makes sense. Let me know if it resonates with you, or if I'm just making things up here. I feel like it makes sense. Yeah, well, yeah. I feel like I was doing so well for a while there. Actually, like all the way through and mostly on topic. So proud of myself for coming up with a topic instead of just generally mattering. But I absolutely think that I'm going to buy the three opossums in a trench coat plushie. Um, damn YouTubers. Keep bringing out plushies. On. Leaving the click. He started it with the emotional support demon. If you haven't checked that out, I'll put a link to that as well. Emotional support demon. I loves him. The dark him, and I had the vacation him, the birthday him. I think I'm sorry. I'm not entirely convinced I'm actually sorry. Ooh, wait, we made it to rain stage. Look at that. Um, um, I mean, I've been recording for like 24 minutes. Spent most of the 24 minutes talking about the raccoons in the trench coat. AJ, you're proud of me, right? Stayed mostly on task. Um, so, um, feel like this is going to be easier to talk my way through when I'm not trying to play the game and do the terraforming back into the base build. Let's see. Um, so yeah, tell me what you think about the whole raccoons in a trench coat thought process. At 500 NK. Yeah, they have a lot of numbers that. So I just play until they hit things. See that this. I am a professional gamer. Um. So yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much, I think, all I really wanted to cover in this topic. I wanted to actually give it a go, red hot go of you know, actually having a topic and trying to stick to talking about it and seeing how that worked out for me. I feel like it's like as disjointed as it's been because like it is a new concept that I've just learned, so I'll probably still be digging into it and may mention it in do another episode when I understand it a bit better. Um, I, I feel like I did a fairly solid job of staying on a consistent topic, hitting the key points that I wanted to express while trying to remember how to play a game at the same time. This is like peak level multitasking for Marley. This is as good as it gets. It will never be better than this. In fact, most of the time it will be significantly worse. So don't get too excited about the idea of Marley being organized on a regular basis and being able to do two things at the same time. Um, but, I'm pretty sure that the people who come for the I don't know insane topics, the subject lines that I give them are not staying because they think that I'm in any way, shape, or form organized, sane, or stable. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, listen to our regular podcast where AJ is usually around to baby. Although I feel like that's another three raccoons in a trench coat pretending to be a babysitter, babysitting three raccoons in a trench coat pretending to be a human. But usually, usually we've gotten fairly good at keeping mostly on topic in our season two. We've been planning a little better, sticking to a single topic with minimal tangents. But yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. I read comments, I respond to comments, or one of them that I've had so far. um, and links in the description to the opossums in a trench coat, the original Reddit story. Well, maybe not the original one, but the one I found while I was looking for it that explains the three raccoons in a trench coat. Um, oh, I'll probably put a link to Ozmedia's YouTube channel and the Clicks YouTube channel and the Emotional Support Demon as well, because AJ's been trying to train me to put links to things that we reference in there. I just usually forget what we've talked about by the time we do the show notes. So this is why I say that AJ is my babysitter. Because I have attention span of a goldfish. Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening. If if you do listen, do let me know if you prefer me having an actual topic to talk to instead of just randomly running around Planet Prime and nattering on. Right. Till next time. Bye.